Hey guys, John here doing some more replay analysis. This one was submitted by esome, esome, esome. I'll go with esome. He's platinum, and his comment was, "To be honest, I'm pretty solid. I believe. Wait, I can't read. To be honest, I'm pretty solid. I believe overall in my matchups. One of the evident things being that I did." Oh my god. One of the evident things being that I did win this game, and I do win most of them. What, what I want to get advice on is what I'm spending my money on, because you will probably notice there are key moments at which I'm floating minerals and gas, and it's mostly because of indecision on what to make at what time. I'm not sure if it's either because of A, lack of scouting, or B, I just literally have no idea what I'm doing at this stage of the game. It's usually always around the mid game. I also tend to take bad fights where I throw leads, and there are some examples of that in here as well. So any advice towards where to spend my money and how to take PvT engagements would be amazing. Obviously, anything else you see like flaws in my build order, excuse for bad decision making, comment, blah blah blah. So, that was long. Alright, so let's go into this. I didn't actually look at this first. So we're doing a fresh start. Fresh first look here. So your build looks pretty decent right now. You know, your chrono boost and whatnot. You're doing your pylons and all the right shit in the right time. It's all wonderful. The scout is late. Usually you should go after your gateway. If you're gonna scout, if you're gonna scout at all, go after gateway. There's no reason to do it any other time, because the timing you scout on a 13 gate, it'll get, if you scout them first, then you'll be able to get in time to know exactly what they're doing. And that's usually what happens on 2-player maps as well. On 3-player maps, sometimes you'll not get there first, and it's you won't be able to exactly see what they're doing. But you still want to take that chance of scouting them first. So 13 gate scout is what you should be doing, because now you're going to come in here, his Reaper's done, and you're actually very lucky because he sends it right away, I guess, to somewhere else. Yeah. A lot of people will keep the Reaper at home first a tiny bit to be able to kill the scouting probe. So you get a little lucky. But also, if you came in at this time and he wasn't doing a Reaper opening, but he was doing like a one base thing, and he had his ramp walled off, and you wouldn't be able to get in there at all, you would have no idea if he went gas first, gas last, 13 gas. You don't know what time that gas is, so that's really important to know exactly what he's going to be doing as a follow-up. So this is a little bit of a lucky scout, in my opinion. So you're doing your shit, though. He's also bad because he's just going right to your nexus, then your probes, so you get all your shit out. Wonderful. And he gets trapped. Oh, almost. So he's doing a 3-racks opening. It's pretty standard. What do? You go Twilight, which is nice, also standard. Let's just blaze through this beginning, because you seem to know your build quite well. I don't need to comment on this. There's your blink shit. Here's your robo. Here's your 3rd gateway. Oh, so you're doing that hero build. Okay, cool. The CJ hero. Blink robo into Dark Templar. Sexy as fuck. Cool. Gases, stalkers. So this is hitting kind of late. You could have been at his ramp earlier, poking away at the front and keeping his attention centered over here while this drop was going on at the same time. And you could have done that a little bit earlier, but it's still not that bad, because now this is going to go in as he's all the way out on the map, which probably would have ended up happening anyway. But if you have if you have your stalkers out earlier, like over at his ramp earlier, you can just do a little bit more harassment earlier and just poke away at him earlier, and so that way his actual attack into you is not as strong. So this War Prism coming in is beautiful. You're gonna kill some SCVs. Oops, make sure you always shift click some down or whatever instead of just A-moving them, because you could have killed a lot more because you had a couple seconds there where you weren't actually doing it. But again, just a tiny little thing. It's not the biggest deal because you still killed a fuck ton of shit and you made him come back, which is perfect. It's the absolute... It's the perfect thing you want to happen. It's all you want. Buy time. Buy time. You can kill some fucking huge ass amounts of SCVs because DTs are the fucking shit. As seen in Trap vs. Fantasy today. Baby. Alright, so going for the third, double ups as well. This is good. Your build execution is extremely solid. I have like no place to comment on this at all. It was just done very extremely well. So you definitely go into the mid game with a lead. Did you see the 4th, 5th? No, this is something that you should be looking for though. You want to see what timing their 4th and 5th racks are compared to the 3rd. If they do them before the 3rd, they're going to be more aggressive. If they do them after the 3rd, then they're going to be a little bit more passive. Then you have more wiggle room. So I'm assuming maybe there's going to be a lot of drop harass in this game. Maybe there's not, but I'm assuming that might be a thing here. So I will most likely end up commenting on that, I think. But that's very important. That's something you definitely need to be looking for, to know exactly what they have. Like, you don't have... This was your first observer? Or did you lose one? You might have... I'm assuming you lost one. That's an extremely late first observer, then. Alright, so he's just gonna come in here, and he's gonna kill the 3rd... Okay. So yeah, this is lack of scouting then, like you said. If you said it was either lack of scouting or no idea what you're doing. So lack of scouting is what this is attributed to. I'm also going to comment on no sentries in a bit. I don't know what happened to your earlier observers, but this one observer was very late. And it didn't see what it needed to. I think it might have passed over the army earlier, but you might not have been looking at the minimap and missed it. So it was either that or you didn't see it at all because the observer was late and just wasn't in the spot to be able to see when his army moved out. And you also didn't see that he was going 5 racks, so meaning he would have a crap ton of bio. So scouting is definitely what we need to be prioritizing here, it seems. So you know exactly when these kinds of things are coming. A good thing to do is keep like a pylon over here, like right here, so you can see if they try to do any kind of shit from this angle. If you only can afford like one observer because you need Colossus or something, again, just put pylons like right here, whatever, right here, so you can just see when he's moving in these key spots over here, here, and here. So that way you know where to move your main army when he actually starts going on the map. Otherwise, you would have been in position to be able to deflect this easily. Because you have 3 Colossus. He has nothing else to kill that. No sentries. This is kind of a big deal. Sentries are extremely important, especially in holding 3rd bases in PvT. Especially in this build, you get a late 3. It's a very greedy opening since you go Blink, Robo, DT, Double Forge, and Colossus. There's no time to fit in sentries early on in that, so you get them after the 3rd base, after you keep them back a little bit on their 2 bases. But you still need those 3 sentries because Guardian Shield 1 is extremely important. It's always good. You should never engage in any fight ever without it. Force fields are obviously a necessity to chunk away when he tries to go up your ramp or whatever, so that way when this little fight was happening, not really fight, just that move out, and he went up that ramp, you would have been able to force field it easily, segment him off, and he would not have had any way of dealing with that. Also, hallucination is very good for this low observer style PvT. If you ever find yourself with not a lot of observers, but you need to scout, then hallucination is always very good. So sentries are extremely important. In this build that you're doing, it gets 3 of them later on after the third base has started. So now you're in a little of an awkward spot. Your tech and army comp is still better though, because you have 2-2 started and almost done by the time his +1 or +2 attack only is only just starting. And even with the third cancel, you're still kind of even on income, because his third doesn't land for quite a while because he did 5 racks before 3rd CC and he didn't even really do anything but that one attack with it. So your economy is still pretty decent. This is usually the spot you'd be in versus the Terran anyway. If you were able to see that he was coming earlier and defend well, you would have been ahead, which normally doesn't happen in PvT because you're usually the one reacting with your third base compared to theirs. Alright, so this is unfortunate that Storm is not yet ready. I would not be taking this engagement knowing that Storm is this close from finishing. I would be trying to delay him right here and try to force him back. The Viking count is extremely low though, so if you had sentries with this and you just killed the Vikings and then chopped up the army, you still could take this, but this is kind of not what you want to be doing when Storm's this close to being done and you don't have any sentries. Also, the Vikings, even though he only has 4, they live for way too long. These Vikings should be dead the second the battle starts. Literally, these should not be alive any more than 5 seconds. You should easily just shift click them. You had plenty of stalkers to be able to do that. You just blink over to the side and you shift click those down and he won't have any way of killing any of your colossi. You also lost all your Head Templar because you didn't have Storm and you didn't morph them into Archons, so you didn't actually do anything with them. So that was a big waste as well. So in that situation, it was either delay until Storm is done and Chrono Boost the fuck out of it. You should always be Chrono Boosting your Storm nonstop, by the way, because they're always going to be trying to do some sort of like attack before you have Storm out, and that's when you're most weakest. So you should always be doing it nonstop. And when you notice they're attacking like that, and you see that Storm was as close to being done as it was, that's when you want to be like just poking him and just kind of trying to make him fall back while you Chrono Boost the shit out of your Storm, and then bait him into you, and then you just get the free Storm damage off. So there's either that, or you have a couple more sentries. You morph your High Templar into Archons. Even though Storm's almost done, you need the damage like right then and there. You can't afford to wait if you aren't gonna do any kind of delay tactics. So you morph them into Archons, have a couple sentries, kill the Vikings like I said before, and cut up his army, and he wouldn't have anywhere to go. So now it's still just kind of even since he didn't push it as his advantage for whatever odd reason. Let's beat it on up. So, I was just about to say, so all your Templar are clumped up in one spot. EMP is pretty good. So obviously don't keep all your things in one spot. That's obviously not good. This is not good either. This is a very disconjointed and very unorganized fight going on right now. Everything is in a spot that you can't easily control it, and it goes out of control, and you can't really do anything efficiently. Luckily, your Colossi spawn in time, so you're able to at least just trade somewhat ineffectively and force him back for now. But in that fight, I'm gonna go back and just do it a little slower, so I can talk about a couple things in particular. Where's this fucking battle? Jesus, so long fight. Okay, so it started off with your Templar getting EMP'd to fuck. Again, that's not good. You want to spread them out a little bit. Do like 3 here, 2 over here, and then if he tries to do any of that poke forward with the ghosts, then you just pick them off, and then you bring the Templar forward and whatnot. Do you morph into Archons right away? Okay, good. So here, you're still like equal. You're basically even. His Viking count is still extremely low for the number of Colossi you have. Although you don't have any Stalkers, even though you have the supply or the money to spare doing so to make those. Gateway count is a little low. I'll comment on that afterwards, I guess. So you should always have some group of Stalkers, at least like 6 to 8 or so that you can pop off Vikings. Especially when you notice that they're consistently at this low of a count. You should always be taking advantage of that. So that's one thing besides the Templar. So that's the second thing, really. Don't get your Templar AP'd. Make sure you have a group of Stalkers to be able to kill Vikings. Again, the sentries. This is why sentries are so important. Here, I'm gonna ignore the interaction between the Colossi and the Vikings. That's not what I'm gonna talk about at this point. I already mentioned that. Just having Stalkers to kill them. That's all that's needed there. I'm gonna look at the interaction between this bio and your Zealots. This is what sentries do in PvT. This entire fight, all he's doing is kiting backwards while the rest of your Colossi are going the other way. There's nothing to lock this bio in. It's just going where it pleases. And the large brunt of your army, which was the high Zealot count, is doing nothing because he's just able to micro away from you. This is where sentries come into play huge. It allows you to lock groups of units in. I'm gonna go back again. So, a little bit back again. So, if you had like 3 sentries right here, he's extremely clumped up. All you have to do is make one quick swipe of force fields right here. Like boom, 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 boom. And half of his army is now chunked right up next to yours, and your Zealots are going to charge directly into half of his army, while the Colossi are attacking the clumped up units as well, allowing him to stay in that one tiny spot. He's not going to be able to move, except for the back, and he's going to be moving it away, so he's not going to be able to attack much of it. So the sentries are beyond important in this, especially when you're going for a very large composition of Zealots. You need sentries to be able to support those. If you're going to do the thing where you just ignore Stalkers like some Protoss used to do a long time ago, they don't really anymore because it still sucks. If this is what you're going to do with a high Zealot concentration, then you need a couple sentries. So because of that, because of those 4 things, the High Templar getting EMP'd, not enough Stalkers, no sentries to lock anything. Or was it only 3 things? I can't remember if there was a 4th thing. Anyway, 3 things apparently. Those 3 things together are what make this fight so unorganized and extremely awkward and difficult for you to actually manage. And then it ends up in the result of your Colossi being forced back because there's no Vikings, or no Stalkers to kill the Vikings, the bio getting, or the Zealots getting kited down the other opposite direction because there's nothing to lock them down, and your Templar being completely ineffective and useless because they got EMP'd. All of that together made this fight extremely scrappy, sloppy, and unorganized, thus allowing him to take an advantage over you with the supply count. So from here, he's just going to keep macroing up. Your 4th base timing is fine. Your 3-3 is going to be done now too, so that's good. How many Templar did you have? You are not warping in too many Templar. No, that's never mind. That's fine. That's fine. You did, because you eventually still did kill his Vikings, and his Viking count is still consistently low. So this is good. This is where you're making a group of Stalkers. This is the right response to that last engagement. Focusing on what he's not going to have. You didn't really kill all of his ghosts that engagement, so making more Templar would be not good. What you did kill was his Vikings, which is what kills the Colossus. So if you double down on that and make more Colossus and make more things that keep the Colossus alive, which are the Stalkers against the Vikings, it'll make it much more effective, because the small amount that he has to devote to trying to rebuild that like section of his army, being the Vikings, is going to get shut down even harder because you've been building up on the anti-Viking, and now the Colossi are gonna should in theory never die. And again, you're not target firing them right away. You still win the fight though, because he just doesn't have enough to like kill that many things. His Viking count was just so low in the first place, so it didn't even really matter that you didn't do it. You didn't target. But now it's gonna start a little. Again, you should be blinking down. You should be blink. There you go. Okay, good. You're still losing too many Colossus. I feel you should not be losing any at all, actually. Luckily for you, your upgrades are also extremely good. He hasn't even started 3-3 yet, and you're almost gonna have +1 shield as well. These Colossi should not be running away. Okay, so it looks like you're gonna win. I wasn't sure if you were gonna win or not. Looks like he's gonna delay it. So, towards the end, you were taking some of those things I was talking about and actually incorporating them, like the blinking and making sure you focus the Vikings and whatnot. It's still some sloppiness there as well doing it. It's doing it consistently that is the thing that you need to worry about. And always starting off with that instead of waiting towards the end. Because you could have been so much more decisive and clean with some of the engagements you took earlier on, and it would not have ended in a 25-minute game. It would have been a 15-20-minute game. But other than that, that was solid as fuck, to be real. It was very good. What were your concerns again? Oh, you did say you won this game. I didn't understand that first sentence. What I'm spending my money on, because their keynotes were on floating minerals and gas. Oh yeah, that's what I was gonna bring up, the gateway count. I totally forgot about that. So your ideas and your build and your general idea of how to play the matchup is there. It's good. Besides those couple other things that I mentioned, fights and not no sentries and such. That was all great. The thing that I was going to point out is that your gateway count is very low. You only have 10, and you're going to be on 5 bases at the 25-minute mark. That's extremely low. Extremely low for Protoss against Terran. If Protoss against anything at 25 minutes with 5 bases. You should, when you're on 3 bases, you should have at least like 12 or 16 gateways. I'd say probably in this situation 12, because of the fact that you did the double forge and the Colossus and both High Templar and Colossus fairly early. So 12 to 16 on 3 base. Then of course once you get 4, then you can spam a lot more of them. At least 20 on 4 bases, I would say. So that was the big thing that was keeping your money so consistently high throughout the game. I'll just buzz through starting like when your third is saturated, and I'm gonna just stare at your money purely and see you're only at 5 as well right now. You're making some extra more now, but besides these gateways right here, you don't make any more for the rest of the game, which is bad. So I'm just gonna stare at the money throughout the rest of this game and see that besides, like, once you're, like, right now your third's still not saturated. You're still in 2 base economy. So right now, it being low, that's, like, good and normal. But now the third base is starting to be saturated a lot. There's a battle just going on right now, so your money went high again. Now your third base is still continuing to be saturated. You're still floating a good 400 or 500 minerals and gas most of the time, only dipping down to 100 a few times. And it's consistently staying high and high and high and high and high. And this would be solved extremely easily. Right now you're doing a good job of macroing because you're out of fights again. Then during the fights it starts to go back up again. During fights it still starts to go back up again. Then it stops a little bit and then you keep making. So there's a lot of ups and downs because you do make a good, you do keep it low a good amount of the time. Like right now is low again, but then it has those spikes. It's very like it's and at the end it's over. I mean, you're gonna be lazy about that point. I do that too. There's a lot of spikes. It's like you spend money for a good amount of time at one point, and then but it's only for a really short amount of time, like during a warp in or something, and then it ramps right back up again really high, and then it spikes right back down again and goes up high again. And it's like huge spikes, huge differences in what you're doing. It's either you have no money or you have a shit ton of it. And just doing things like making gateways when you notice you're low on or you're high on money, but you used your warp in already. When you do a warp in of units and you notice you have some money spared afterwards, and like shortly, like within like 5 to 10 seconds afterwards, you have a lot of money banked afterwards. You do a warp in. That's a sign that you need to be adding more gateways in. And once that third saturation comes up and going, like I noticed, or like I said, there was those big spikes started to happen right after that third base saturation fully kicked in. And so the extra gateways would be what are solving those spikes. Because every time you did warp in, it was good, and it's kept the money put the money low, but it was only for that warp in, and it wasn't continuing to stay low because it was a big burst then, but you couldn't continue doing that for more than just those tiny bursts because your money or your gateway count was so low. But other than that, it was pretty good. I hit on your engagements, hopefully well enough that you can understand that. And other than that, it seems to be it. So there you go. Enjoy.